I had this idea a few years ago, and I've never put it into action, and I'm mildly putting it into action now. We're recording this episode a little later at night, which means I've drunk half a bottle of wine
Oh
before we go
my.
in. And I've had this concept, and it's kind of always been this concept of this.
It's funny
And
you mentioned that. I was thinking of having a cocktail, but I
well,
said no,
okay.
I need to be safe and sober.
No,
So
no. I have had the idea of, as come along with this podcast, and we've we've come a long way since episode one, but I have had the
is this
concept
harkening back to
of,
like the COVID happy hours kind of
yes.
concept?
So doing like a cocktails and EVs, like a walk car after dark.
Oh, all right.
And uh,
Sounds very swanky.
we would need, yes, we would need to record later at night because I also like working out and I don't want to I don't want to create a cocktail. The concept is we drink a cocktail that is EV related in some way. So I've got a big cocktail book. We can come up with stuff. We can get through that. We make stuff up. And then that is a walk car after dark. Email us, hello at thewalkcar.com. Would you like once a month to have like a walk car after dark? We can record
And
this late
cocktail
at night
recipes.
and cocktail recipes. So we would come up with like, I mean, there's the electric, whatever it is. I can't think of it as like blue drink,
Blue
whatever.
curacao.
Yeah, but it's called the electric, not the
Oh,
electric slide. That's a dance, but there's an electric something or other. So we come up with a variety of those, and then we drink the cocktails and we talk about EVs. And you don't necessarily even talk about topics per se. Maybe we have
you
a
just
couple
kind of
topics.
riff.
Yeah. Email us, hello at thewalker.com. I'm Phil Royle. I am one of the podcast hosts here who wants to drink while doing podcasts. I also want to sell you t-shirts. Hello. No, that's our email address. I've already, like I said,
The
forgive me.
Whatcom, the Whatcom, the Whatcom.
Thewalkcar.com/store is where you can help support
I
our
haven't
drinking
even had
habit.
anything to drink yet.
No, that comes later. And believe it or not, I've been doing content creation for 10 years, 5 years,
Yes.
3 years. I just started. How about you?
And Sanchez, like, oof, I promise you I'm sober, but 20 plus years in automotive content creation moderation, current day job, automotive electronics analyst. Um, what else do I usually say? I don't even know.
Stuff. Analyze me
Stuff.
stuff, okay?
Analyze me
Analyze me
stuff.
stuff.
Analyze this.
Yeah, we got Tesla Q1 earnings.
Okay.
And we
Well,
all knew this was going to be bad because last week, week before, I don't remember where we are in time, but in the before time from now, Tesla said they were down, it was like 13% on deliveries, wasn't it?
mhm,
Something like that. So
mhm.
we all knew the numbers were going to go down. And when you and I were texting, like yesterday, was it? And I
Mhm.
said, I wish I should pull up the text. I, Here, let me pull up the
Said,
text.
oh, they're going to do their earnings call tomorrow.
Yeah, I was like, should we delay this podcast a little bit on um on this? And now I can't find the text that I sent you. But it was
Anyways,
basically they said, okay, they'll be down on earning. Oh, watch us at YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/at the walk car, you can watch me cycle through on my phone. I would show you the screen, but there's other things on there. I said, so Tesla will report, I said this a couple days before their earnings report. They'll be down on earnings. They'll scapegoat Juniper as the reason. They'll still make a profit. They'll say Cybercrab is coming to Austin soon, and they will not address the actual problem. It's up to you to determine what the actual problem is, you, the listener, because I think I've already been clear on what I think the problem is. How close was I? They were down on earnings. They scapegoat Juniper as coming soon, and they still made a profit. And they said Cybercab was coming. What did I get wrong? That was my
um,
prediction from a few days ago.
kind of, sort of. They did. So okay, I'll just do the top line here. So the reported Q1 revenue was 19.34 billion. I guess it was expected to be 21. So that was about
What's a
two.
couple billion between
Well, it's
friends?
yeah, big deal, right? And that's well below the 21.3 billion a year ago. And adjusted earnings per share is 27 cents, and I guess 44 was estimated. Again, I'm not a financial whiz, so
It doesn't sound like they're off by much. When you're off by like $2 billion, I mean, it's two. I think of this as like, because I don't understand billion. So I look at that and go, well, if I made $19 instead of $21, not the end of the world. But this billions of dollars here.
Yeah, yeah.
Billions. This isn't
Well,
$20. This is billions, $20 billion.
yeah.
I
I,
can't even wrap my head around it. It's
I
ludicrous.
think the most interesting thing to me is they actually address the elephant in the room, no pun intended. Um, so they said this was, I guess, I don't know if this was in the written earnings statement or on the call. It said changing political sentiment could have a meaningful impact on demand for our products in the near term.
What did they mean by that? What do they mean by changing political sentiment? Do they mean, because when I read that, I read, wow, way to blame the customer. That the customer has changed their political sentiment. That's how I read it.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. The customer has stayed the same. The customer has always been tree hugging left wingers. That has always been the demographic for EV early adopters. Their sentiment has remained. How did they mean it? Because I would say
think,
that the sentiment has changed for somebody else in the company,
yeah.
not their customer base.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very diplomatic way of saying backlash to Elon's actions, stunts, behavior, whatever you want to
It
call
sounds
it.
like they were blaming the customer.
Possibly. And interestingly, it said, I guess this was Musk comments. He said, starting early next month in May, my time allocation to Doge will drop significantly.
Which it
He
has
said,
to. You covered
yes.
that like a
Yeah, he
couple
said,
episodes.
I will continue to spend a day or two per week at Doge, but will be allocating far more of my time to Tesla, as he should have been from the beginning.
Do you think they had the board sat down with him and had a talk? Which is what I've been arguing for a while. Because to me, Tesla's failure right now is completely on the shoulders of one person, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
The Tesla as a company is solid, strong. It's proven itself as a
Yeah.
leader.
Oh, and
It's
the
changed.
products, I mean, I think the products speak for themselves for the
Yeah,
most part.
you can't deny everything. Take Elon out of the equation. There's nothing wrong with Tesla. So, uh, do you think the board sat him down and said, "Hey, look, dude," or do you think this is because he's, like you mentioned a couple weeks ago, he's timing out of Doge because he's a special government employee and they only get, I think it's 90 days or 120 days or whatever it
I
is.
think probably a little bit of both. I think they probably confronted him and said, look, how important is this pet project to you? Because this is where we are financially. If you keep doing this, it's going to get worse. They're like, they're like, if you don't care, fine, but we're just, these are the facts.
So
What do you
one
want to
of the
do?
facts was the only reason Tesla made money was because they sold green credits.
Yeah.
So this quarter was back to that. And I had a conversation with someone today who said, "Oh, get this." And they did this like a big reveal. And I was like, "Oh, you mean like 3 years ago?" And I don't remember what the actual number was, but that was all that Tesla was making money on. That was what they've been
Yeah.
built on multiple things. Government grants and selling green credits. That's how they have funded
Hmm.
up through probably 2021, something
Hmm.
like that, 2020. That was when the ship turned.
Yeah.
And now the ship's sinking.
Yeah.
To use nautical metaphors here. So they've gone back to the old trusty here
Hmm.
of sell green credits. And I said to this person, I said, so the problem is, this is my analysis without looking into it, because this is what I do, a bottle of wine in, is you go back 3-4 years, whatever that number was. I'm probably wrong on what that number is, but 2020 was about when the ship turned, I think, for profitability, 2020, 2021. So maybe 5 years. You go back that far. Back then, Ford, GM, Stellantis, Hyundai, they had no EV footing. And they had to buy green credits
Yeah.
to get by. And now, I don't know the numbers, but I'm guessing Ford, GM, Stellantis maybe, Hyundai
Yeah.
aren't reliant on these anymore. They sell
Well,
enough.
not as.
Yes, they are on the curve to not needing Tesla. They don't need to buy as many. So who they're selling their product to who Tesla is selling their green credit
Hmm.
product too. Well, you could argue, well, they're just going back to 5 years ago to
Hmm.
what it used to be. They can survive, they can pull through this. But the clientele has changed
Yeah.
and no longer needs it as much. And in a
Yeah.
couple more years, may not need it at
At
all.
all. Yeah. And frankly, no one's really addressed this. If it weren't for Trump and Musk kind of being bros, I'm surprised the Trump administration hasn't gone after green credits and tried to eliminate them completely and said, this is just liberal woke BS. We're getting rid of these. You don't have to comply. You don't have to buy green credits anymore. I'm wondering if they had a closed door meeting and Elon's like, hey, wait a minute.
There's a lot of
We
conspiracy
kind of need
theories.
these.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that you could make about the conflicts that are there.
Yeah.
Because we already know that Elon said, well, I'll recuse myself if there are conflicts. We already know he hasn't. Like,
Yeah.
those are absolute facts.
Well, I mean, just on their face, the whole idea of like purchasing green credits to offset emissions just sounds totally, anathema to everything Trump says
Yeah, it
he
does.
wants.
Well, and it also, purchasing green credits doesn't help the environment. It
No.
helps the government and the companies that are selling the
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah.
And presumably the companies that are buying it because of the government mandates that require them to do that in order to stay in business and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, the penguins are still choking on carbon monoxide. There's still a hole in the ozone.
And the polar bears are still floating off on their
Yes, those things
their
still
glaciers.
exist.
Yeah.
You can sell all the green credits you want, but you've got to stop polluting at some point if you wanted to actually have an effect.
All right.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right. So there was another report. It was an insider report that said, unnamed sources, yada, yada, whatever. And I'm going to breeze past this. There's a report that Elon shut down an internal report that said that robotaxis, so this was done by like the VPs in the company.
Yeah.
Well, it was done by the workers, but I guess VPs presented this to him. Robotaxis, they wouldn't be as profitable. They need to concentrate on the Model 2. And apparently Elon said, forget that. We're going for the Robovan. Sorry, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there. That we're going for that. We're going for the Cybercab because those are hot and sexy. And he's trying to sell his company as an AI company. All of that's editorializing by me, but that makes a lot of sense. If he's trying to sell this as an AI company, why would you want to sell a car? You would want to sell something that is more AI self-driven and show itself as a tech company, because that is how it is valuated in the stock market. So that's what he's selling as his
New hotness.
Yeah, well, as the basis of Tesla is the tech portion. So he's got to sell that. You can't say, oh, and we're going to make basically a Honda Civic. So that said, Tesla VP of Engineering, Lars Morave, is that how you say it?
Moravi? I don't know.
I'll say it however I want.
Potato.
I've not read this article, but he has given hints for a low-cost model. So do you think the VPs have said, well, while the cat's away, the mice are going to play, and he may have shut down this report before, but now I'm just going to go and talk about how this cheap EV would be and try to pull us out of this nosedive that our ship is in? Because I was giving nautical references earlier. Can you be in a nosedive in a ship?
Sure.
So what is this? Is somebody going against him? Is this, I mean, because you got the one report of Elon shutting down the low-cost EV, and now a Tesla VP saying, oh, this is what it would be.
Yeah, this kind of circles back to what one of the rumors has been, is basically it's just a decontented Model Y and or Model 3, and that's the new low-cost or affordable vehicle.
Oh, is that what he's saying? Is it just a decontented version?
Well, he's you kind of got to read between the lines, but that's what a lot of people are reading this as, is basically so the exact quotes from Moravi was, quote, "Our intent is not to make a car that is any worse than any car we've ever produced in the past."
A high bar.
Yeah, whatever that means.
We're not gonna produce anything any worse than what we produced.
Yeah.
The Cybertruck is literally falling to pieces.
Yeah. So, and then the next one is the models that come out in the next months will resemble and form and shape the cars that we currently make. The key is they will be affordable and you will be able to buy one.
That is key. That's key. Oh my God, this is great. I
So
wish I would have read this. This is wonderful.
so make of that what you will, but
He said we're going to make something crappy, but not as crappy as the stuff that we have made. And people will be able to afford it and buy one.
yeah.
What,
So I mean,
what a great statement.
you know,
But he
I
does go
that's kind
against the
of
Robovan, and well, not the Robovan, but the Cybercab that Elon's trying to sell an autonomous
well, I saw another
vehicle.
report. I don't know if it was this one we linked to, but another one that's saying, and to full disclosure, I didn't get a chance to watch the earnings call. I'm dealing with some personal stuff that kind of took over the bulk of my day today. But anyway, um, that I guess the robotaxi service are going to launch in Austin is actually going to launch with the Model Y, supposedly, and not the Cybercab. So make of that what you will.
I may have called that one as well during the.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did, and it looks like you may be vindicated. So
I'm done
anyway,
with Tesla. I'm done with it. You want to move on to something else?
yeah, I mean, I still drive one, but I'm
I,
still waiting for my
yeah,
R3X. But anyway,
yeah. I'm not done in the long term. Whatever. I'm done in this episode. I guess I
we're
should
done with
say.
this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Subaru, that EV powerhouse?
Yes, the titan of the EV world, Subaru.
Yes. So this
What?
first one is kind of review. It basically because they're basically platform mates. I think a few episodes ago we talked about the BZ4X
Mhm.
getting an upgrade.
Yep, the Toyota
Um,
that went from horrible to not so bad.
Not horrible. So
Yeah,
Solterra also gets
it's like the same thing.
basically the same
Yeah.
upgrades. A little more power, um, a lot more power with the like up level model. So in the case of Solterra, it's an XT with 338 horsepower and 0 to 16 less than 5 seconds. A
Which
little
is
bit long.
fine.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to go any faster than that.
Oh, but wait, there's more. There's more coming.
So you do need
Um,
to go faster than that.
well, for those that want to.
uh,
So EPA estimated range 285 miles. I guess the last one was 227. Native NAC support. So yay for that, I guess. And they're claiming 10 to 80% charge in less than 35 minutes, which is
I would say all of the specs except for that charging
should
is
be.
where it should be. It's where it should have always been.
Yeah.
That charging is still
It's
pretty
still
pathetic.
lagging like the eGMP.
Yeah.
Those are kind of setting the bar for mainstream
If this
cars.
had a 500-mile range, I would accept 10 to 80% in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
But no, it's like a 75 kilowatt hour battery. So they're
Yeah.
still a little behind the segment leaders, which I would consider, like I said, for mainstream models, the eGMP, the 800 volt eGMPs from the Hyundai group, which
Yeah.
would be like Ionic 9, EV9, EV6, Ionic 5. Anyway. So, but if that's not enough power and
But wait, there's
acceleration,
more.
but wait, there's more. They just pulled the sheets off the Trailseeker. Dun, dun, dun. Not the Pathfinder, the Trailseeker. Anyway, so that one has a rousing 375 horsepower. Um, Subaru's claiming a range of more than 260 miles, similar to the Solterra 75 kilowatt hour battery pack. They're claiming 4.4 seconds 0 to 60. Again, plenty quick. And they're claiming 3,500 pound towing capacity. So really, in a lot of ways, this they haven't announced pricing for this. The specs on this are actually very close to the Model Y. I don't know if you kind of put those pieces together, but
I'm doing a search. We'll have links in the show notes, but this article is on Car and Driver. They do not mention the charge time. They say the max recharge rate is 150 kilowatts, which is the same as the Solterra and the BZ4X.
yeah,
So you would assume is 10 to 80% in
about the same.
35 minutes,
Yeah,
which means all the specs on this thing are fantastic,
yeah,
but charging is still going to be lacking. And the story that these don't tell is the first generation of the Solterra and the BZ4X even throttled your fast charging. So there was,
yeah.
it was, I don't remember what the actual thing was, but it was like you couldn't, fast charged more than 2 times or 3 times in a day, something like that, which basically made it
Yeah.
an impossible vehicle to road
To
trip
road
with.
trip. Yeah.
And it saved the battery because one of the things Toyota does is they guarantee the battery is like 90% charge over the course of like, I don't remember what it was, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was. It was like the industry leading for the amount of degradation that they were,
Hmm.
it was acceptable under the warranty. It was really good. Well, the reason that they could get there is because their charging sucked and everything was a trickle charge.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, improvement. Yay. Good.
No,
Um,
that's exciting. And Subaru is a nice enthusiast brand. We need enthusiast brands.
yeah.
And the one thing that we do need is brands to survive the transition.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't it be horrible if Subaru went away, if Mazda went away, yeah, if Porsche, well, I mean, if Porsche went away, that'd be awful. But
That
if
would
you
not
had,
be
I
good.
was thinking like Toyota got rid of things like its Supra or the GR86. If all of the enthusiast vehicles went away with the transition to electrification, God, we're left with refrigerators at that point. Like it's a
Yeah.
miserable future. I I'd be taking the
The
bus.
next 5 years are going to be really interesting.
Hail me a Robovan. I don't want to own a vehicle.
Well, brave new world, huh? What about an ultra luxury minivan? What would you think about that?
So this was Mercedes shows Ultra Lux Vision V minivan for whatever the V means, and I clicked on the thing, and man, if this doesn't look like one of those like Chinese minivans. Uh, Very interesting.
Well, so that's where like ultra luxe minivans are a thing, is China.
And in Japan, they'll race them because they race anything in
Well,
Japan.
they race Dodge vans
Yes, they
in
race the
Japan.
the
Anyway,
old
that's like a
Predator
thing.
vans
Yeah.
there. So here, though, what a bizarre looking Mercedes. I am happy to see it has a hood ornament in the
Yeah.
computer imaging because I don't know, that's kind of cool.
Well, I mean, this is my thing is I've always thought minivans are almost kind of like the perfect form factor in terms of practicality, like for a family vehicle or, a limo for an executive car, whatever. I mean, in terms of space, headroom, stretch out room. But for some reason, the American public seems like allergic to them. Like, ew, gross, minivan. Eh.
I'm one of them. I should have a minivan. I've got multiple
Said you have a huge
children.
hulking SUV.
But I went and bought a Yukon with a 6 liter V8 because I could not bring myself to buy a Honda or a Toyota or a Chrysler minivan. And I also I needed I didn't need, it's first world things. I wanted a second tow vehicle because I have
Yeah,
multiple things that I tow. And I wanted a backup in the event that my primary truck broke, then I could
yeah.
use the SUV. So there was that. But outside of that, I still would have probably gone with the big SUV, not for any logical reason other than I don't want to drive a minivan.
You don't want to have your man card taken. Is
Yes.
that it?
That's what happens. I'll pay at the pump every time as long as I feel good about myself.
Anyway, so this is a thing in China, it has been for a while. Like I said, in Japan, kind of the executive car. Interesting thing is it only has two rear seats, so they're not doing this for practicality necessarily, but I think for the stretch out kind of like private jet experience. Um,
Oh, there looks like to be like glasses down the side,
oh
like
yeah,
where
yeah.
you serve your whiskey and meth, I assume, because it looks like test tubes.
I read another article on this said that it has a crystal chess set in the concept.
Maybe that's what I'm looking at. Is they're not test tubes. Maybe they're chess
Chess
pieces.
pieces. I don't know.
It makes far more sense for Mercedes to do that than a meth kit.
Anyway, so
So,
they say it's coming to the US. I don't know how much of the concept is going to transfer to the production model, but we'll see. We'll see how
not
well this does.
not the meth tubes. Those will not.
No,
They will
I'll
not go.
tell you the one thing that makes me think this might have some legs to it, and I'm sure you've seen these, is the Sprinter conversions
Hmm.
with like the really opulent back cabin, or the ones that have I don't know what it is in other states, but in California, it's the TCP numbers
Hmm.
on the bumper.
Yep, the
Yeah, so
private
it's
limos.
basically
Yep.
livery like limousine services, and I see a lot of Sprinters with either with like super lux spec seats or TCP numbers or whatever. So maybe they might have a market here if this is already like done up basically and they sell it to you because the Sprinter conversions are not cheap. I know, especially the Sprinter motorhomes, they're
Oh
like
yeah.
$250,000.
Yeah.
So even if this, looking at this, if it's anything close to this, is easily into the six figures. I would, if I had to guess. But if that's still less than it would be to do a conversion, they might have a market. So I don't know.
Being in California, I see a lot
Yes.
of weird things. Or maybe this isn't weird. I don't know. But I was coming back from surfing a few months ago, and I was behind a Lucid Air that was
Uh-huh.
had TCP on it. It was one of those personal
Oh,
limos. I've
all
only
right.
seen one of these that I can recall. There was a Lucid Air TCP thing. And if they could get their production up, maybe they could sell more of these as private limos. And enter news story. Lucid's broke, out of business, bankrupt.
Lucid or another one are you
Not
thinking of?
Lucid. What the hell am I saying?
Too much wine, Phil.
Not Lucid.
Maybe you need to cut it
It's
back.
Nikola
Nicola,
is broke. Lucid's going broke.
just one bottle next time.
Nikola's gone broke. Lucid has purchased their one of their production facilities in, was it Arizona?
Yes.
Which is where I think Lucid's already made.
Yeah, they're
So
yeah, that's where they're well, not corporately headquartered, but that's where their
yeah.
factory is. Yeah.
So they spent $30 million, which seems like a deal to me. I mean, I don't know what was in the
My guess is this
facility.
factory was hundreds of millions to build. So yeah, my guess is they
Well,
got a deal on it. Otherwise, they probably would have. Yeah,
I mean, some of it will have been hydrogen stuff,
yeah, which is like
presumably,
out.
which they don't need. And other parts of that will have been just made of nothing because we know that Lucid, not Lucid, Nikola was known for,
I wonder if it included a ramp like at the top of the
yeah,
hill.
like
To,
it's
yeah.
got the little starter ramp for your roller coaster. I don't know. So this article said Lucid committed close to 30 million in cash and non-cash considerations in exchange for the factory, Nikola's lease on its Phoenix headquarters, and certain machinery, equipment, and inventory. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase production of the Lucid.
I would say Gravity.
Yeah,
Probably
this
that seems like
what
their new hit.
if they don't use it for the Gravity, they're making a mistake. If they don't
Or
do
or they're gonna do it for
or
their new midsize
yeah,
Earth,
yeah.
maybe.
Is that what it's supposed to be? The Earth?
Supposedly, I don't know. We'll
So
find out
that's what
soon
it
enough.
seems. It seems to make a lot of sense. And this, while it's so Canoe made a lot of purchases, and I thought that they were dying. And then they all of a sudden they bought a bunch of stuff. They bought Arrivals, whole kit and caboodle in America, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They bought some other stuff. I can't remember all the details. And I was like, oh, maybe they've got a good influx of money, and then boom, out of business. So here once again, I'm having that same positive moment with Lucid going, oh, they're buying Nikola's stuff. You know, they've got this cash flow, they've got it,
Yeah.
they see this future vision, they've got production in mind. This is where when you can get scale, this is where things turn around. And then the back of my mind is Canoe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my guess is they probably got the factory for pennies on the dollar, and they probably did an analysis and said if we were to build this from scratch, it would be
Yeah.
300 million. We're getting it for 30.
But if somebody says to me, here's a Rimac Navara and it's 2.4 million and I'll sell it to you for $500,000 and I say, thank you, I will take that. I'm still bankrupt because I can't afford the 500,000. Great deal. Great deal on the car.
Yeah, but the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund isn't. So
Yes, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund does fund a lot of Lucid. So I'm hopeful, but I was hopeful with Canoe and that bit me. When was that? December? I don't even remember
I
now.
don't know.
But yeah, that. So what else has gone into production? Well, not this one's actually gone into production, I guess. Is the Pebble trailer that we talked about, an electrified
Yeah.
trailer. It had a powered axle, and it was all battery. Which the all battery thing in this travel trailer is like, you can already get trailers like that. I don't even think they sell trailers anymore with propane fridges like I've got, and propane stoves. It's all induction stoves. It's all AC fridges, and then you run solar on it, and you run lithium batteries. All that stuff's normal. But Pebble, it started with, I think it was Tesla engineers went off and made this. This is a Bay Area thing. And it had some pretty cool windows, like in the bathroom. It's all like you could see people do their business, or you flip a switch and then
It's opaque,
it goes opaque. Like I think Mercedes, BMW, or somebody has
on the roof,
for the roofs. So it's a more affordable thing. So what is it? Dual motor system, 45 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and can drive the system for up to 250 miles. That's towing, so it's an assist, which we know from Thor's European arm. That assist, if it's done correctly, can completely negate the weight of the trailer.
Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
And the weight and the air resistance. So if you've got a 300-mile truck, you could actually tow 300 miles.
Yeah.
With it. Which, if that's the case with this, sweet.
Yeah.
And they're actually in production, which who knew that had happened?
Yeah.
I was not holding out.
I'm excited to see more of these. They're still way out of my budget, but
Do we know the price of this? Expensive?
Isn't it like a $250,000 or something, or like 150 or something?
Yeah, 150 would sound about right. This is a link that we had. Starts at 109,500, and that comes with a 45 kilowatt hour battery and most of the main features, but not the drive system, remote control, or automatic hitch.
Yeah. So add that in. Like 150, 160 probably.
Yeah. Alternatively, you pay 135,000. You get the trailer, the drive system, self-parking, self-hitch feature.
Okay. All right.
175,000 for Founders Edition, which is always a scam. And you get all the options plus a special fern green color.
So I was
It's a
in the
scam.
ballpark. Well,
Get the 135,000 and wrap it.
Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, cool concept though.
And that people may scoff at me saying, well, that's about right, but go and price out an Airstream. And that's what this is trying to sell into. Something else that will be starting production. This was where I was trying to have my transition, my segue, was Ferrari they did an interview or something. There was a car and driver story. And they are building a new facility to boost production to as many as 6,000 cars a year. In that will be the E-building, and it will be near its Maranello campus, and they will build EVs on the same assembly line as hybrids and combustion models. So the only really interesting part of this article, which I hadn't really followed any of this, and it kind of makes sense, I guess, is Ferrari's been testing its EV in the Maserati Levante SUV. So different headlight treatment, but in the SUV. So it's going to be an SUV.
It's going to be So it's going to be an EV puro sangue, or
it like Lamborghini at least tried to make theirs kind of a cross-track kind of thing, whatever. But like, remember their EV, it wasn't really an SUV. It wasn't really the Lamborghini car. This seems like it will be an outright SUV. So I guess don't hate on Ferrari that much, because at least they're not trying to make a car out of it.
No.
The cars will still have their V12s or whatever it is that power those things.
Well, they already have a plug-in hybrid, effectively.
It's kind of the way they have to go with a lot of this stuff anyway.
Yeah. So you mentioned so Jeff Bezos, some would say the arch nemesis of Elon Musk, but I don't know.
Yeah, he has backed, I guess, Slate Auto. And that will be introduced, potentially, their pickup truck by the time this episode airs. And we are recording this late at night and early. So we're missing this. We'll get to this next week. But it looks very... The Slate Auto thing, I don't know if this will succeed. And the reason that I don't know why these will succeed is because the prototypes that we've seen look very much like they look like enthusiast vehicles to me, is where I was going. Very boxy.
All right.
Very boxy, utilitarian kind of things. Like how I loved the Jeep XJ. Very boxy, boxy
Yeah.
vehicle. There's a lot of like the old square body pickups that have a following. And it's kind of what their pickup version looks like. This one's got their, what did you say, the Defender, or the Ineos
Grenadier.
Grenadier. They're very, you don't accidentally buy some of these vehicles. You've got to go out and hunt
Yeah.
down these boxy type of vehicles. And it seems like that's what Slate Auto is going after, is the enthusiast. But at least with their pickup truck, reports are they're trying to start around 25,000.
It's pretty ambitious considering a Tacoma starts at like 33 now.
Yeah, but it makes me think, can they beat Ford to the game of electrifying the Maverick? And
Well,
is
I mean,
that what they're
Ford's
trying to
kind of
get at?
already partway there with the hybrid.
Yes.
Um,
But there it's $20,000 to $25,000 vehicle, I
have
believe.
you looked, have you priced a Maverick lately?
Not lately, but when it came out, that was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Have prices changed in recent years?
Oh,
Has
yes.
there been like trade wars and tariffs and stuff
Yeah,
that I'm not
imagine that.
available
Oh,
or that I'm not
loaded
aware of?
Maverick can
Well,
creep into the
loaded.
40s.
Yeah, I'm sure that you could get one up to whatever you want.
Yeah.
How much is a, let's see here,
I think
20,
bare bones, you're
24
still looking at like 25, 26 now.
Maverick, MSRP, 23.9. So they would be, Slate would be
So
trying to
about that.
sell
Yeah.
a truck that I'm guessing would be comparable in size to the Maverick
Hmm.
for about the same price,
Yeah.
which tells me they'll have a founder's edition that costs $175,000 like the Pebble, and it'll be a special color, and that's going to be the one that's available. So you'll probably spend 60,000 on the first ones, and then eventually they'll target down to the 25,000. But long story short, you'll know all of this by the time you listen to this episode, or maybe you won't, and in which case, don't listen to anything else or read anything else. Just wait for next week, and we'll talk about. Oh no, not next week. We're doing a special episode next week.
Yeah.
Wait for
When
you
Phil
know
has
what?
three
Go,
bottles of wine.
yeah, go and read other people's websites and listen to other people's podcasts because that's what I'm gonna be doing to figure this out. Let's call that a day.
But
Let's
buy
say
merch.
let's go to thewalkcar.com/store, buy merchandise that helps support the blog and the podcast, and
I think you should add a martini glass to the collection.
we'll have to see if I could do that because these will soon fund What Car After Dark
There you go.
and our special episodes with that. You can find us on social medias and share us there. You just share the podcast. What I would really like for you to do is share the YouTube version. YouTube.com/@thewalkcar. Watch us, comment, and share it. That would be fantastic. Did I say hello at thewalkcar.com? Don't email us there. I didn't mean to say that. And Slate Auto, go to thewalkcar.com/advertise and throw us some of that lovely Jeff Bezos money.
Yes.
And
We'll gladly receive it.
I will gladly accept with open arms. And I will kiss the ground and carry a little flower around. Like I'm looking at your face. You're not getting the reference. So I'll stop there.
All right.
We'll figure out what we're doing next week. And we'll see if I'm more off kilter.
All
Yeah.
right. Bye.